Hey guys, Mr. Champion here, and we're going to start our second installment looking at the 13 colonies. And we're going to look at the middle colonies. As you see here on the map, it's located between the New England colonies and the southern colonies. Remember, as you finish up your lecture notes, to continue to work on your map activity that you've given yesterday. For this particular lesson, we're going to look at how were the middle colonies formed, your objectives, explain why the colony of New Netherlands became the colony of New York, identify how New Jersey separated from New York, describe how Pennsylvania was founded, and then lastly summarize life in the middle colonies. We're going to start with looking at the New Netherlands becoming New York. The Dutch settled New Netherlands. They had difficulty finding people to come to the Americas, and so they granted about 50 families land that were called patrons that would actually settle, and so this was kind of their enticement for getting them to come to the New World. Most of those people were traders by trade in New Amsterdam. However, through war that was taking place in Europe, kind of made its way to the Americas. And so around 1664, the English wanted to take over New Amsterdam. And so they sent their ships. As you know, the English were known for their great ships in battle. They placed them in the New Amsterdam harbor. A guy by the name of Peter Stuyvesant, he was in charge of New Amsterdam. He desired to fight, but under consultation, they decided that the Dutch would surrender New Amsterdam over to the English. And so, under the leadership of King Charles II, he granted this territory to his brother, the Duke of York. Now, as time passed, there became issues in New York. It grew too big through trade, and so the Duke of York, he decided to divide up the colony. He basically made New York a proprietary colony. This is basically where the king gives the land to one or more people in return for yearly fees. And so as New York got too big, commerce got too vast, he divided up parts of it, and that's where New Jersey came from. New Jersey was very fertile, and so as the farmers would farm the land, they would give a portion of their money to the Duke of York, and so this allowed for him to still govern and be over New Jersey, yet the farmland that was being used could benefit those who settled in the colony as well, the Duke of York. New Jersey eventually became what is known as a royal colony. Basically, the colony continued to be under direct control and rule of the British. And these are a couple of your key vocabulary words you had a chance to look at. Next colony formed, we see Pennsylvania. This is formed under William Penn. William Penn was a Quaker. This is probably one of the most despised religious groups that came from England. Some of the beliefs of the Quakers was that all people were equal in God's eyes and their sight. Again, when you think about the English as they settled in New England, there was a lot of controversy in terms of their faith and how it was practiced, and that actually led for expansion. But here the Quakers believed that all people were equal in God's sight, even though they held fast to Christian morals and beliefs. They often spoke out against war and even refused to serve in war. One of the things that was different, as you can remember, and perhaps Anne Hutchinson would have liked this, was that William Penn and the Quakers allowed women to share the word or to actually preach. Again, this is very, if you will, controversial to the way in which those in the New England colony saw it. And also, they refused to bow to nobles, okay, and this idea that all people are equal, that there's no sense of or differentiation between nobility and the average person. And so they refused to do this, and this often, again, you can see could cause confusion in terms of settling Pennsylvania. Penn also believed in a holy experiment, and basically during the holy experiment, his goal was to model religious freedom and peace in Christian living. Penn beliefs led him to speak out against the unfair treatment of Native Americans, and as they settled Pennsylvania, they looked for peaceful ways to settle and set up shop with the Native Americans. One key group, the Pennsylvania Dutch, these were basically Protestant Germans who settled in Pennsylvania. They began to come, and they often, the city as we know it today, a lot of the bricklaying and the craftsmanship came from the Pennsylvania Dutch. Penn planned a capital city along the Delaware River. He named this city Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. We're going to see how eventually Delaware is branched off from this particular area later on. And so the lower counties of Pennsylvania, as we know it, again became a part of the middle colonies, Delaware. We'll take a look in class at this on a map and discuss development and city planning. This was key and strategic for Pennsylvania. Lastly, let's finish up. We're looking at life in the middle colonies. All right, the majority of the people were farmers. Again, unlike in New England where the soil wasn't quite well, in the New England colonies, although they did have some farming in areas in New York, the middle colonies, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware, these were areas that were very fertile, and so a lot of people were able to farm there. The Hudson and Delaware rivers were great water supplies and helped supply and provide for this farmland. The middle colonies were broken up to two major regions. You had the eastern counties, where wheat and barley and rye were cash crops, and then you also had the middle colonies, which is also known as the breadbasket. This is where you mostly had your grain that took place, and we're going to see how, when we look at the development of the economic systems in the 13 colonies, how this becomes an important part. Counties, rather than villages, became centers of local government, and so you see a greater strategic planning as more population and diverse peoples congregated in one area. Housing also developed in the middle colonies. As I said earlier, the Swedish, as they moved into the middle colonies, introduced log cabins. The Dutch, who were great bricklayers, started building brick housing. And the Germans, they brought and developed the burning stove. So again, this allowed for greater heating and survival in these urban cities. You also had the backcountry, where it was very vast foresting taking place. And so they would clear these areas in order to set up villages, their towns. And this is where tensions began to brew with the Native Americans. And we're going to look at some of that as we move toward the Revolutionary War. And so if you look at a map here, we see the two areas we've covered so far, the New England colonies and the middle colonies. So as you wrap up your map activities, be sure to include in those map activities the vast resources for each region. You can use your notes here in your video to help you do that, and also you can use your textbook and online resources I provided for you. Remember to complete your summary for your notes. Go back and review as needed. Again, you have your questions section. Ask me questions down there as we prepare to do our discussion in class. Thanks, guys, and look forward to a great discussion.